Justice Bhushan Gavai, Honorable Chief Justice of India, my sister and brother judges in Supreme Court, my sister and brother judges from Bombay High Court, my brother judges from Karnataka High Court, retired judges from Bombay High Court, Mr. Vikas Singh, newly elected President of Supreme Court Bar Association, Mr. Rahul Kaushik, Vice President, Pragya Baghel, Secretary, senior members of the Attorney General, the Solicitor General, senior members of the Bar, former President Mr. Kapil Sibal, and members of the Bar who are present in such large numbers on the last working day before summer vacation. Last few weeks were a difficult time for me. The reason was I had too many judgments to write. And therefore, my entire team and myself, we are working around the clock. I thought that I'll complete my judgments by Wednesday, and Thursday I can pen down my speech today. But that was not to happen. Therefore, today, in the afternoon, after I went back from ceremonial hearing, just sitting here, I jotted down few points. Last 2 days, everybody has been asking me, how do you feel when you are going to demit the office? I think President said what I said in Bombay, or President or Vice President, that I don't look forward for freedom, because I always believed that judges have freedom to do justice, and that freedom is not available when you are not a judge. Therefore, there is of course a tinge of sadness in my mind that I will be demitting office of Judge of the Supreme Court of India. I have been a judge of 3 constitutional courts for last 21 years and 9 months. And when you are a judge of a constitutional court, you get so much involved with your work that judgeship becomes life, and life is judgeship. And that is one transition I'll have to face, and I will have to find out whether there is any life outside the justice. And I'm sure that I'll be able to do that and lead a constructive life ahead. Maybe after a few days, after my retirement, I'll be able to think rationally about my future course of action, or how I'm going to lead the future life. It is often said that when a successful lawyer becomes a judge of High Court, he makes sacrifice. I don't agree with this concept at all. Maybe sacrifice may be in material terms, in the sense that whatever good income you have as a lawyer, that income gets reduced. But I always say so in all judicial academies. I've been teaching in judicial academies for the last 15 years. That when you join judiciary, you may not get that kind of income which you get as a lawyer. But the work satisfaction you get, that can't be compared with your career as a lawyer. And judgeship, it's a beautiful concept. When you are a lawyer, you may be a very good lawyer, but your performance is constrained by your opponent, your own client. Sometimes you face very hostile judge. So you may be a good lawyer, but there are several constraints on your performance. But if you are a judge, when you sit in the court, nobody controls you except the Constitution and the law and your own conscience. And therefore, I always say so in judicial academies that accepting office of a judge is not at all a sacrifice. But there is a sacrifice involved, not on the part of person who assumes the great offer which comes from the Chief Justice. The sacrifice is involved on the part of family of the judge. Brother Justice Gavai talked about my wife Anuja. Perhaps the maximum sacrifice was by her. One more sacrifice I want to tell you, very few people know about it. My father was a very distinguished lawyer, civil lawyer, practicing in one of the most prosperous districts near Mumbai, where there is a lot of commercial work. The day my appointment came in 2003 as a judge of the Bombay High Court, he was on the height of the profession. Immediately he told me that he is going to quit the practice. He not only left the practice, he never entered the premises of the court. He continued to sit in his office, and whatever consultation work came to him, he continued to do that. So, maximum sacrifice is by my wife, Anuja, my parents, and if you want to succeed as a judge, if you have botheration at your home front, you won't be able to do that kind of work which is expected of you. So the entire family, my parents, my wife, my children, my brother, Dr. Ajit Oak, his wife, Varsha, as a family unit, they supported me. And in a lighter vein, I want to thank my sons for a different reason. That both of them kept distance from the legal profession. That can be a great relief for a judge. Therefore, when we talk about the work done by the judges, we must also give credit to their families, because their sacrifice is the real sacrifice. A person who occupies the office doesn't sacrifice anything. On 28th of June 1983, I started practicing in district court at Thane. Frankly speaking, I never thought at that time that I'll be able to practice in High Court, because my father was so successful on the civil side. He was a very leading lawyer. But somehow I could get an opportunity to start practice in High Court in 1984-85. My father's dear friend and former judge of the Bombay High Court, Justice Tipnis, he happily accommodated me in his chamber, but I could work with him for only 1 year because he was elevated. And then started my long journey in Bombay High Court. I'll come to that little later. And as a judge, funny things happen to you. I remember from the beginning of 2019, maybe senior lawyers, maybe senior judges used to talk to me and tell me, very likely you are going to become a Chief Justice. Somebody told me that I'll go to Jammu and Kashmir. Somebody said I'll go to Kerala. Somebody said I'll go to Mizoram, Manipur, Tripura. But surprisingly, nobody told me that I'll become Chief Justice in Karnataka. But Collegium thought so. And there's a very interesting story about my elevation to Bombay High Court. I'm not going to tell that story to you, because other day in Bar Council function in Bombay, Justice Gavai has publicly assured that he'll come out with that story after 24th November. That story is only part of it. I'll tell that in 2000 or 2001, myself and Justice Gavai were called by different senior judges, and where our consent was taken, informal consent was taken. The subsequent part of the story, I'll leave it to Justice Gavai to tell. I'm not going to tell you. But only fascinating part in today's contest, I want to tell you that my name was recommended on 15th of February 2003, and warrant was issued on 14th of August 2003. Perhaps you may not be able to believe that this can happen in 6 months. Today it takes maybe 2 years, 3 years, I don't know. It may be more also. So it was a great privilege for me to go to Karnataka. And before I went to Karnataka, it was a great learning experience for me to be in Bombay High Court. I must acknowledge my Chief Justices. When I was in practice, I was purely a civil practitioner, mainly practicing on civil and writ side. But my Chief Justice has made me work on the criminal side. And they ensured that I work on all branches. I had done trial work in Bombay High Court. I had sat on the company jurisdiction. I sat on the insolvency jurisdiction, all jurisdictions. I got experience because of great Chief Justices which I had. And therefore, my task in Karnataka was very easy. In the afternoon, Madhavi Dhiman referred to something which happened in 2006. But I believe that there are few things which must be kept secret. And perhaps why she said that, I know that she felt that perhaps I may say openly what happened at that time, but some other day and some other occasion. When you undertake a long journey by aeroplane, there are always turbulences. There were turbulences. I remember in 2017 something happened. And the Bombay bar is so strong and so powerful, they fight fiercely for independence of judiciary. Something happened in August 2017, and within 72 hours, Bombay Bar Association passed an unanimous resolution condemning those who interfered with the interfered with the process of justice. So every time, I must acknowledge that every time, Bombay Bar firmly stood behind me. Same is Bangalore. Mr. Ranganath is here, who was president of the Bangalore Bar Association. He always supported me very constructively. My experience in Bombay helped me to work in Karnataka. And again, few funny things I must tell you. From the year 2000, stories started appearing in newspapers that Supreme Court is going to consider, so Collegium is going to consider several names for elevation. So in 2020 and 2021, all those newspaper reports used to appear. But one name was absent in that was my name. Therefore, August 2nd week, it came to me as a shock when the then Chief Justice of India said that my name is being recommended by the Collegium. Because psychologically I was prepared to work hard in Karnataka. I had drawn action plan, what I will do till May 22 before demitting office. As I said, it was a great journey in Bombay High Court. I got a chance to work with great senior judges. My career began with Chief Justice C.K. Thakkar, one of the greatest judges I ever seen. He taught me everything starting from how to take notes, how to prepare notes when you read a file at home. Then I had a great honor to sit with Justice Ajit Shah, from whom I learned nuances of the writ jurisdiction. And after I started presiding over bench, I had fantastic colleagues in Bombay High Court. Some of them are here. Justice Sadhana Jadhav is here. Justice Revati is there. My good friend Gautam Patel is here. All of them shared bench with me. And I learned so many things from them. And they contributed very actively to whatever I did as a judge. Justice Gautam Patel showed me, or rather, tried to bring about improvement in me and making me laugh while sitting on the bench. Today is not a very serious day. Therefore, only one thing which Justice Gautam Patel said on his farewell, I want to share. He was a typical original side lawyer. And we were on one page always, but we differed only on costs. Because he had those concepts of original side about the amount of cost. Some of you must be remembering it. I used to say in open court, if you don't withdraw, I'll follow standard of Bombay High Court original side to impose costs. Some of you must be remembering it. I said so in open court. So we used to always differ on cost. He thought that I am fixing very lower amount. So there was one frivolous petition. I tried and convinced the lawyer to withdraw it. He would not withdraw. So therefore, I dictated the whole judgment. I looked at Justice Patel. I said, how much? He gave me signal like this. So I dictated 5 lakhs. He was taken aback. He said, I said 50,000. But I must say that that order was confirmed by Supreme Court with cost of 5 lakhs. So it was a fabulous journey in Bombay High Court. Every judge, I won't call them as junior judges, I learned something from every judge. And then my journey started in Karnataka. My colleagues are here. Some of them sat with me. And in Karnataka, I decided one thing, that I'll start from 2018 batch and I'll allow every judge in order of seniority to sit with me. And in pandemic, I ensured that all judges sit with me during pandemic. So it was a fantastic journey in Karnataka because of my colleagues. I mean, because there's so much to learn if you go to other court. I remember my first day in court hall number 1 in Karnataka. Something basic I had to learn, because in all high courts and in Supreme Court, you will find that senior judge sits on the right hand side and junior judge sits on the left hand side. In Karnataka, exactly it is reverse. So I sat with Justice P.S. Dinesh Kumar. I almost occupied the wrong seat on the first day, where he corrected me. So it was a great journey in Karnataka also, and even in Supreme Court. I must thank all my Chief Justices and especially my colleagues who sat with me in division bench after I started heading a bench. Justice Bindal, Justice Sanjay Karol, Justice Pankaj Mittal, Justice Ujjwal Bhuyan. I must say that he sat with me almost for 10 months and contributed a great extent. Had such a pleasant experience with Brother Augustine Masi. So all colleagues in Supreme Court were so good, and I had to learn. I learned from everybody. There's one remarkable thing about my long journey, which many of you may not believe, that during this long journey, I never delivered a single dissenting judgment. And even my colleagues never delivered dissenting judgment. One exception is, one of my brothers did it 2 days back. But I say exception proves the rule. So the rule is that I never delivered dissenting judgment, my colleagues never delivered dissenting judgment. There are so many things which I want to say. I started by saying something which Madhavi Diwan said about 2006. In fact, during last few days, my office is receiving requests from my friends in media that I should give interview. I have taken a stand that, firstly, talking to media when I'm holding office is out of question. I never did that. I never want to do that. But I had told them that I will need some cooling period of about 2 to 3 months. The reason is, today I speak to media, my mind is full of emotions because I'm demitting office after working for about 22 years. So I may say something, end up in saying something which I should not be saying. So I told all of them that please give me 3 months time. I'll reflect upon my career and I'll be in better frame of mind to speak to media. The reason is, I firmly believe that when you are in office, you are bound by constraints. But even if you demit office, after you demit office, you have to show some constraints. You don't have that kind of freedom which any other person has. And therefore, persons in media, today also I met few media persons, with folded hand, I told them that I won't speak to them. And this was the reason that cooling period is required. Now coming to judiciary in general, I don't want here to only express my emotions or I tell you how was my journey, but I had to carry something further. During last 21 years or 22 years, what I felt was, I genuinely felt that the Supreme Court and High Court, we had neglected our trial and district judiciary. In fact, that is the backbone of the judiciary. Those are the courts of common man. And therefore, I am very glad that the then Chief Justice appointed a committee to prepare action plan for disposal of cases in our trial and district courts. We have huge pendency in trial and district courts. 30 years cases are pending, 35 years cases are pending, 40 years old cases are pending. So we devised an action plan. Brother S. Vikramnath and Brother Dipankar Datta, they are part of that committee. And we have been monitoring implementation of that action plan because time has come when we should concentrate on our trial and district courts, because that is where common man gets justice. And therefore, we need to change our approach. I must have attended several workshops, several seminars which discuss the judicial system. And when we discuss judicial system, sadly, we discuss only High Court and Supreme Court, but we completely ignore our trial courts and district courts. Therefore, I always said on public platforms, please don't describe any trial court or a court of civil judge as a subordinate court. No court can be subordinate. That is against our constitutional ethos. So that is one area where we'll have to really work hard. The second area where we'll have to work hard, which I said in one of my judicial orders regarding policy on bail. Every high court, every bigger high court has pendency of criminal appeals. 20 years old, 25 years old criminal appeals are pending. 20 years or 25 years old first appeals and second appeals are pending. But that's the basic grassroots level litigation we have. And court like Allahabad is always working with half the strength. Something needs to be done urgently. I always felt, especially in criminal matters, that we sitting in High Court give priority to appeals against conviction of those who are in jail. We forget the appeals of accused who are on bail. So 20 years after a person is released on bail, you deal with 302 appeal. And then if you want to confirm the sentence, it's very harsh because you have to send somebody to jail after a gap of 20 years. So these are the areas, and especially even civil matters. If partition suit is going to take 30 years or 40 years, what relief we are going to give to common man? So these are the areas where we need to work very hard. In fact, we have made endeavor to, I must again thank the Chief Justice for that purpose, endeavor to devise action plan for disposal of old cases in high courts. Of course, high courts are constitutional courts. Therefore, we have only given that as a suggestion. So these are the few areas on which perhaps we'll have to work. Because sitting in Supreme Court, we can't be thinking only about Supreme Court. We have to think about common man, common litigant. And when we think about common man and common litigant, we must think about our trial and district courts. About Supreme Court also, I want to say something. I am very happy that Chief Justice Khanna took us on the path of transparency. Chief Justice Khanna took every decision by taking into confidence every judge of the Supreme Court. My dear friend Justice Bhushan Gavai has democratic values in his blood. His father was chairperson of Legislative Council in Maharashtra. And as I said in Bar Council function, in practice days, I was to appear in many political matters. So every political leader used to come to me and used to say that they are not seen Democrat like his father. And therefore, I am so happy that Justice Bhushan Gavai is the Chief Justice, and therefore I am going to take liberties of making few suggestions. I am not going to make demands like Mr. Vikas Singh, only few suggestions. And before I make those suggestions, perhaps you have seen the approach of the new Chief Justice. The practice of letters has returned, and many other decisions which he has taken. And he has taken those decisions in full court meeting, not in his own chamber. One difference which I felt between the High Courts and Supreme Court is, High Courts, of course, Chief Justice is the master of roster. But in High Courts, the High Courts function more democratically than the Supreme Court, because there is an administrative committee in place of first 5 judges. And that administrative committee takes major important decisions regarding the administration. The High Courts function through committees. Somehow I found during last 3 years and more that the Supreme Court is Chief Justice centric court. And I think we need to change that, because Supreme Court is a court of 34 judges who come from different areas of our country. And therefore, the image of Supreme Court as a Chief Justice-centric court needs a change, and I'm not giving you a promise, but I'm sure that you will see that change from the new Chief Justice. The other aspect which always bothered me, bothered me in Karnataka also, that why only selected matters should be listed, and therefore, thanks to my senior colleagues, Justice Nagaratna, Justice Arvind Kumar, I got fantastic support from them. And in pandemic, we tried to introduce auto rating system. So nobody is supposed to mention any matter. All cases will be listed automatically, whether the objections are rectified or not. And therefore, we must do something like this. Otherwise, why people complain that why some case is listed on the next day, but some other case remains pending for 20 days or even more than that. And perhaps one solution which I found was, in High Court, there is a fixed roster. And once there is a fixed roster, even that does not give discretion even to the Chief Justice. All matters are listed before appropriate benches as per the roster. After having worked in constitutional courts for almost 22 years, I believe in one thing. We cannot have better listing unless we reduce the manual intervention to the minimum. And we have AI technology, we have other technology, we have softwares, that can really help, so that the listing must become rational. And nobody should have any grievance that why case A is being listed early and why case B is not being listed early. These are few areas where we need to work on. Because ultimately, we must remember that Supreme Court is not only constitutional court, it's an appellate court. And therefore, appeals of common man come to this court. And therefore, to give relief to the common man, we should have a system of listing which will rule out manual intervention. Before I close, I am indebted to so many people who have worked around me. I'm not going to say about high courts because then list will be too long. I started with my family. I already given all the credit to them. My own family, my parents, my brother, his family. But the secretaries, my secretaries at home, they are willing to work from 8:30 in the morning to 11:30 in the night, and they are willing to work smilingly. The ministerial staff in my house, they are also very enthusiastic. Because thrice a week, I listed MC Mehta case. And lifting files of MC Mehta case, you require trained wet lifter. So all of them were extremely cooperative. My court staff, the court master, the secretaries in the court, they're very, very effective. I used to list so many matters and they worked absolutely efficiently. The staff working in the house, they loved me, they respected me, they looked after me and my family. So the entire staff which is assigned to me, I can't forget my PSOs also. They were simply excellent, and without their cooperation, I could not have done even 50% of work which I had done. And I can't forget my law clerks. At first batch of law clerks, now some of them are back with me. They simply come and sit in my office where they want to give company to me. But my law clerks were simply fabulous. My interns were fabulous. In fact, I want to share this publicly. There are occasions where my law clerk worked in my office till 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 a.m. When I start working early in the morning, so I used to get early morning knock on my door. I used to find law clerks standing outside with some notes or something. So I must give credit to all of them. I wanted to take names of all my staff members, all members of registry. They're also extremely helpful. But then my speech will be endless, and somewhere I have to end. By bona fide mistake, I may have omitted somebody. And I hope that whosoever is omitted, they will pardon me. Before I close, I must thank the members of the bar. I never expected this last working day, when the hall is full, people are standing, when the first balcony is full. I never expected that on last working day. I thank all of you for your cooperation. I know that sometimes it was difficult to appear before me. In the ceremonial sitting, it was said, but it was said very sweetly. But all of you went out of the way to cooperate. I must also thank all the members of the bar who work as amicus, because I handle a large number of PILs. I must thank all of them. So I thank all of you from my bottom of heart. And I will say that even if I am demitting the office, my commitment to the cause will continue in some other capacity. I will always devote time to the cause of justice. Thank you.